Alright guys, a quick video. Technically I could call this episode 4 of the review of the vegan debate on the Crucible between Jeffrey Phillips and Ali, tag teaming against Garland Farms. So I'm not actually going to be showing the camera. I'm not going to be showing the recording like the other ones. I'm at work, but I just wanted to give a comment without any of the visuals about what happened yesterday on Garland Farms live stream on his channel. We did a live stream yesterday. The plan was not really to discuss much about the debate. There was a little bit of talk here and there, and we wanted to talk about the Ohio train derailment, and JD wanted to also go into some predictive programming. So we got into that a little bit, and then Jeffrey popped on, and Garland Farms allowed him to go on. So the previous reviews, 1, 2, and 3 episode, you can check that in my video section. I'm up to, by the 3rd episode, I'm up to 40 minutes roughly, I think, yeah, pretty much 40 minutes. There's only 2 things that basically happened during those 40 minutes. First, Ali presented from our world data, and it gave the impression that 80% of the soy is used to feed animals. So 80% is used to feed animals, and vegans will often use the excuse that if we didn't feed the cattle, we would have more food for the humans. JD totally debunked this error, this lie and deception. He went into more detail and explained, yeah, what part of the soy are the livestock eating. So the majority of soy, he informed us, is for seed oil. It is to make soybean oil. The leftover of the soybean is called soy meal or soy cake. It's the leftover stuff after the extraction. So technically, if the ruminant animals disappeared, there'd be no significant effect to the production of soy, because all of it is for oil primarily. Therefore, if the ruminants leave, well, they can't feed the leftover industrial waste, the garbage, so they can burn it like they used to. All right. JD used an analogy of a pecan, saying the pecan has the nut inside as well as the shell, but if you divide it, the shell is heavier than the nut. So what they can say is, let's say it's 60% of it is the shell, 40%. So then you could say, oh, well, you know what? The humans are eating the nut. We're giving the useless shell to the animals, but it's 60% of each soybean. So therefore, 60% of the soybeans are going to the cow. So this was the main point. Ali presented data. JD refuted the data. Then I further showed a PowerPoint in yesterday's discussion that using their data, our world data, and tried to communicate, but yesterday when Jeffrey got on, everyone started yelling. Okay, so it was not moderated, and sometimes you couldn't even hear. So that was the main premise. They talked about a false depiction of the statistics. JD showed the evidence that this is misleading, and that's pretty much all that was discussed, and we're 40 minutes in. He had to repeat and repeat and repeat. So either they're intellectually dishonest, not wanting to give the obvious answer, or they have cognitive deficiency. They're just not comprehending what everybody else in the viewers understood. If you look into the chat, so he came on to JD's live stream with me. There was a lot of shouting. What is very telling is that Jeffrey, when he came on, he was talking about Bill Gates mostly. So when he was talking about our world data, JD already knew that the funder, one of the funders, is one that works on climate change. So any of the climate change people are all buying into the narrative of livestock are destroying the earth, right? And then it was the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Bill Gates is heavily invested in all the Beyond Meat, Memphis meat, all of lab-grown meat, cell-cultured meat. He's into all of these alternative protein sources besides animal. Bill Gates has said, you know what? All of the richer nations should be eating synthetic meat. Bill Gates is buying up tons of land, roughly 200, a little more than 240,000 acres. If you do the calculation, give me a second, I just want to do the calculator. It says that in the United States on average is $12,000 per acre, okay? And he owns, let's round it to 240,000, even though I've seen 267,000. So let's put it 250,000. So you multiply that by 250,000, 25,000 to. So by buying up 250,000 acres of land in the United States that is farming land, that's $3 billion he's invested. He's bought up $3 billion. JD said billions, and Jeffrey said, show me the proof, stuff like that, and you don't know, misinformation, you're a liar, you said billions of dollars. He downplayed the amount of acres, what that signifies. It signifies $3 billion, okay? The only reason that Bill Gates got brought up again is just that JD said, you know, there could be a bias since Bill Gates and his foundations put so much money into replacement meats. He is quoted as saying that all of the rich countries should not be eating meat. It should be all synthetic meats, okay? He spoke about his work in Africa. Believe me, guys, okay? Bill Gates doesn't do philanthropy to better the world. Everything is basically profit driven, okay? We know that because he was heavily involved in the Jibby Jabby, the healthy medication, even though he's not even graduated from any college or university and has no virology or anything. So why do you think that's the case? Because he's one of the biggest funders. I think it's CDC or WHO. So whoever feeds you, okay, you don't bite the hand that feeds you. But when I went, while Jeffrey and JD were screaming at each other, I was looking up in our world data. I was looking up their source, and their source clearly showed in my PowerPoint presentation exactly what the breakdown of soybean, where it goes. And you could see that over and over, it's saying exactly what JD used in the debate in the first 40 minutes debunking soy. To my knowledge, Jeffrey was talking about no one conceded. I'm going to have to check it again. But it seems to me that she did concede about the animal, about the oil. All right, our world in data shows that it was like 73% being fed to the cattle, and it says 73% is in the form of leftover soy from the extraction process. So it backed up exactly. So either she was cherry picking on the very site that they're defending that there's a bias. You understand? So yeah, I kept on saying press mute so we can talk. Like we should have put a timer on it and both talk. The fact is that Jeffrey came on and was trying to debate something as stupid as I'm trying to debate that Bill Gates is not biased. Bill Gates is doing some stuff over in Africa. They love doing stuff in Africa. Believe me, it's because they love and they want to improve the world. They're not screwing them over, at all. They have a perfect history of never taking advantage of African populations. No, it's true. Never. It's all from the heart. Mind you, when the recipe for the jibby jabby was created, poor countries asked for the recipe, and Bill Gates said no. Why? Because it's profit. Meanwhile, they're locking us, giving mandates, removing freedoms, forcing certain things into our body, but because it's an emergency, right? But not willing, to give it to other countries. All about this. So that's it for now. Consider this episode 4. Go see JD's last live stream so that you can enjoy the shouting match between Jeffrey. Jeffrey was interrupting. He kept on yelling over. JD kept on saying, post the study, post the study, post the study. I posted a 2022 study talking about nutritional deficiencies. I also showed over and over on a wide array of different sites, all saying the same thing. Set between 70 and 80. That is used for human consumption in the form of oil, and they figured out a way of making a profit with the leftovers, so they feed it to the cattle. The cattle are not supposed to eat grain anyways, and the question that he posed to them, because if they comprehended the oil, if you remove ruminant animals, the oil production will still be maintained. It will have zero effect. In fact, if you're removing all ruminant animals, then you have a serious meat shortage, which would be beneficial. It would push the fake meat production. But we also have to think that since the wide amount of the population has lost ruminant animals as nutrition, then they'd have to further expand the soy production, take up more land, because soy, if you're removing all the meat, probably the best vegan source. That's it. Go check the Crucible, the debate between JD and Jeffrey and Ali, and then go see my reviews if you like. Then you can go to JD's after and see when Jeffrey came online and concentrated on Bill Gates. Lord knows you don't want him concentrating on soy. Bill Gates had nothing to do with it. JD was implying a possible bias, which is completely reasonable. But as you can see, our world in data, when I went and saw the data, the charts, the breakdown, it supported exactly what JD said. And Ali was intellectually dishonest by giving the impression to the public that all of this soy is being wasted on animals. Thank you and God bless. I'm going back to work.
Looking at soy, only 20% of its global use is directly for human food. Over 30% is fed to chickens and other poultry, 20% to pigs, 6% for aquaculture, and 2% for beef and dairy production. Looking at corn production in the U.S., the majority is fed to animals. For corn-fed animals, the efficiency of converting grain to meat and dairy calories ranges from 3 to 40%. So At best, that's a 60% loss in calories to the animals.
Ali, I'm just going to stop the video very quickly. I want to talk about the calories that you just spoke about. I understand what you're implying, that the certain amount of plant calories are here, but those calories are fed to the cow, and the amount of calories that the cow produces is less. So there's a loss of calories by feeding it directly to livestock. The issue about calories and focusing only on calories is that humans can't survive only on calories. An important aspect are essential nutrients, essential vitamins. So by feeding the soy to the cattle, we're producing animal fats, animal protein that has a much better composition of essential amino acids. The fat of the animal is where most of the fat-soluble vitamins are. If we're incorporating on top of that the liver, then we're getting even vitamin C from the liver, among other things. Unfortunately, if you're just feeding soy and the calories, let's say 12,000 calories of soy is available, it's inputted into the cow and it comes out as 6,000, then you can say 6,000 of the 12,000, half of the calories have been wasted. The cows are making the world lose calories. The point is the West and a lot of Europe, we are drowning in calories. Producing enough calories for the world, okay, is not an issue. We are literally dying of an over amount of calories. But what the whole world seems to be deficient in is adequate amounts of nutrients. And we're not just talking about nutrient levels to prevent deficiencies. Weston A. Price had extremely higher levels in the food as well as the nutrients that are available. So again, not only about calories, okay, we need to talk about nutrients. Unfortunately, the EPA and DHA are inappropriately converted. DHA is an essential omega-3 from the ALA of the plant. There's no way you're getting a conversion of about 3%, and EPA is almost non-convertible. So you're going to be at danger of essential omega-3 fatty acids, which is why you guys stroke out in scientific studies. It's why depression, anxiety, mental illnesses, brain fog, all of these are associated with a deficiency in B12, deficiency in cholesterol, deficiency in EPA and DHA. What else? Beta carotene in plants, we don't have the retinol form. D2 in plants, we don't have the D3 that is superior and the body can utilize a lot easier. You guys have access to K1, maybe some MK7, which is a K2 if you're using the fermented soybean, but we have all of the vitamin K, especially in the form of MK4. Vitamin K2, MK4 more specifically, is an extremely important nutrient because, among other things, it is a signaler to put calcium where it's supposed to be, and it minimizes the risk of calcification of your arteries. There is also mineral deficiencies, zinc, iodine, iron, among other things. So even the calcium form that vegans have are often calcium deficient because of the form the calcium is in. We have heme iron. That's why we have hemoglobin, which are the carrying red blood cells. The ferritin is lower in vegans in studies. The red blood cells are lower in vegans within studies. That, yes, I can cite if you're going to challenge me on that. So listen clearly, okay? It is not about calories only. Nutrients are important. It's not just about the energy being fed to the body. Nutrients are important, Okay, so if you're inputting more calories into an animal so that that animal will create, okay, a lower amount of calories, but all the nutrients and many of the nutrients that are deficient in the initial plant input, then that's just the way it is. That's the reality of the situation. So speaking to people that might not be too knowledgeable about nutrition might buy that half-truth, which half-truths are lies and deception. You maybe pull it off to the typical person, but anybody who knows even moderately knowledge about nutrition will catch that half-truth, that lie, that deception. Let us continue.
Animals are actually being driven into extinction by crop agriculture, primarily the corn and soybean industries. You did hear how like 20% only 20% of the soybean crop is going to humans. It's actually more than 20%. It's about 27%, because about 7% of the soybeans are grown specifically for human consumption. It goes directly to the humans as whole soybeans. But anyone that invests in commodities futures has heard of the soybean crush spread. And this is a investment strategy that investors use to hedge their bets on soybean investments. And it's based on the fact that every year, about 90% of the world's soybeans are processed. They're crushed to squeeze out the oil. Soybeans are an oil seed. In fact, they provide 61% of the world's seed oils. And so 90% of the world's soybeans are actually processed to extract the oil. And humans consume 100% of that oil, either as cooking oil, as an ingredient in ultra-processed junk food, or as biofuel, biodiesel. So when they say 20% of the soybeans are going to human consumption, this is how intellectually dishonest that statement actually is. It's kind of like this. When you peel a pecan and you remove the meat of the pecan and put it on one side and you put the shell on the other and you weigh the two, the shell is going to weigh about 60% of the total pecan, and the pecan nut meat is going to weigh about 40% of the total pecan. Now, if you feed that nut meat to people and you grind up the shell of the pecan and feed it to animals, then you turn around and claim that only 40% of the pecans are going to feed humans. Do you see how that's not actually honest? You're not actually feeding 40% of the pecans to the humans because you've processed the pecan. You've removed the shell, the part that's inedible to humans, and you've set aside the part that is an asset for human consumption. And so if you're processing 100% of the pecans to remove the shell and you're only eating the meat, then you can't blame the animals that you're feeding the shell to for your pecan crop.
So this is using Ali and Jeffrey's own YouTube site that's funded by Bill Gates. And even with that, our world in data, we see that 70, I can't see because I'm on my editor, it's really small, but what is that, 73 or 76% of soy is fed to animals. But if you look to the top right where the brackets are, is basically saying this is from processed leftovers from soybean and soy meal or soy cake. The leftovers are being fed. So again, Ali is saying, look at the vast majority, like 80%, I think that they had said, or here 76%. Yeah, well, you know what? That is after the oil extraction. So to be honest, this is leftover garbage. Here I made the values just a little bit bigger. So again, that 76% that is animal feed. If you look on the top right, it says soybean, processed to soy cake for feed. If you look on the bottom, soybean is only 7%. Only 7% of the soybeans are fed directly to the animal. It's not fair to say that the animal is eating 76% because this is leftover garbage. If animals would leave, then the animal feed would not be consumed, obviously, by the animal. You see that 76%, it's useless. It's useless leftovers from the seed oils that humans use 100% of. So for ruminant animals, we'd snap our fingers and they would cease to exist. We would still be producing just as much seed oil from soybean, and then after we just wouldn't be able to feed the soy meal, that 76%, and they'd probably have to burn it like they used to. So again, the soybean industry has zero to do with livestock being destructive. It's all about the soy. This is another truth that was actually in the study that Ali and Jeffrey were using, or it was at least under Our World in Data, the site that they chose. And as you can see, the amount fed to animals is that green line on the bottom. The amount fed to humans is that red line. And the amount of seed oil that again is fed to humans is that steep line going to 250 million tons, more than human use.